Jordan to the east and Israel and Palestine to the west. It's 34 miles long and 11 miles wide at its widest point. It lies in the Jordan Rift Valley, and its main tributary is the Jordan River in the north. Its surface and shores are 1,388 feet below sea level, Earth's lowest elevation on land. The Dead Sea is 1,237 feet deep, the deepest hypersaline lake in the world, with 33.7% salinity. It's also one of the world's saltiest bodies of water. It is 9.6 times as salty as the ocean. Animals can't live around it, hence its dreadful name. Qumran is an archaeological site in Israel on the West Bank. It is located on a dry plateau about a mile inland from the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. It is best known as the settlement and the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. The Qumran Manual of Discipline, one of the first Qumran scrolls to be discovered, proved designed especially to protect the purity of the community's behavior and fellowship. A member who committed even minor infractions would be excluded from the group meals during the entire time he was busy repenting. And there was no possibility of extending the partaking of the sacred meal to outsiders. The Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling about Jesus eating with tax gatherers and prostitutes, saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." Ancient history, huh? Not at all the way we treat people today, is it? So Jesus told them a couple stories about sheep and coins. People who are outsiders, who are sinners. People who lived outside of the purity codes, even women, were coming near to listen to Jesus. And the scribes and the Pharisees, who gave rise to the group at Qumran, hated that he hung around with them because he was soiling himself by being near them. By eating with them, he was showing approval of their lives. You know, in many parts of Nevada, we raise cattle. I used to ride horses a lot when I was a kid out in East Sparks. Now, when you raise cattle, the way you move them from place to place, pasture and pasture, is pretty easy. You just get a bunch of cowboys together on horses, whooping and hollering. You just kind of funnel them in. But that doesn't work with sheep. If you gather a bunch of cowboys and whoop and holler at sheep, they will go every direction. Some of them will go right behind you, thinking they're leading you, so you're leading them somewhere. It just won't work. You see, sheep have to trust you. You have to lead them. They have to feel safe with you. And for people who are outsiders, people who are used to being shunned all their lives, especially by the religious, Jesus' welcome, his gentle smile, his joy in their presence drew them. And so Jesus began, "Which of you who has 100 sheep and loses one of them?" And right off the bat, his story is ridiculous. You can almost hear the scribes and Pharisees going, "Ew, shepherds." They were one of the group they didn't like. They were dirty. They were sailors, like camel drivers, butchers, and other members, and they were despised. What's more, hardly any shepherd of Jesus' day had as many as 100 sheep. The normal flock would have been a little more than a dozen. But even more ridiculous, he has the shepherd leaving the 99 others to go after that one lost sheep. 99 sheep would be a fortune in that day. Why would you risk losing that for one stupid sheep? That's a fortune. You can just write it off, that one sheep off on your taxes. The religious elite of Jesus' day got what he was saying. They heard Jesus was telling them how wrong they were about how they treated people, and they didn't like it. But it wasn't just the Pharisees and scribes who were listening to the story. The outsiders who had gathered around Jesus were listening. Men and women who had been told all their lives they were less than. Outsiders. They heard it too. How astonished they must have been to hear the value of their lives and souls in the sight of God. So in first century Christianity, what do you think the symbol that was most often used to denote that you were a Christian? Cross? Nope. The ichthys, the fish? No. When they dig up the catacombs in Rome, the oldest things we've got, the symbol always of a Christian is the image of Jesus as the Good Shepherd holding the lambs. The image of God searching for us, how important each and every one of us is. That was what touched their hearts. That was the image that stuck with the early Christians. As is often the case with Luke, he pairs similar stories. The first one is always about a man, and the second one is always about a woman. And so the parable of the lost sheep was followed by a parable of a woman's lost coin. A peasant woman who has 10 coins, which might have holes in them so they could be worn as a necklace. That was the custom. Thus, it's possible the loss of one could have spoiled the beauty of the necklace design, and she would have noticed it immediately. Or sometimes women wore silver coins bound on their foreheads as a dowry, each one worth about a day's wage, a huge sum. Not only was the image of God lovingly searching for each and every one of us, the same in both parables, after the one sheep was found and the coin was discovered, there was a party. The same pattern was in each parable: losing, searching, finding, and then celebrating. If you know anything about the scribes and Pharisees of Jesus' day, the people from Qumran who wouldn't let you eat with them, if you wanted to celebrate, if you wanted a really good party, you just didn't invite them. They weren't party people. They were kind of buzzkills. They were. So how do sheep and coins and people get lost? One day, a city guy came on a farmer who had just rescued a lost sheep. When he asked, how did the sheep get lost? The farmer replied, they just nibble themselves lost. They go, he explained, from one tuft of grass to another until at last they've lost their way. That's what sometimes happens in life. Just a little bit at a time. We don't pay attention. We're doing our best, but we lose our way. Or sometimes folks have a hard start in life. They've been abused or poor or unloved. Or to deaden the pain of a life of misery, they get trapped in alcohol or drug abuse, and they just can't find their way out alone. Some folks lose their job. Some folks get sick. Or someone lose the person they loved most in this world. And all of a sudden, life goes from being a sunny pasture you know well to a dark, foreboding forest where you can't find your way out. There's lots of ways to get lost in life, and there's not one of us who's safe from getting lost. And the wealthy and the ultra-religious of Jesus' day, and often nowadays, avoid and shun folks who've gotten lost. They say things like, well, it's their own fault. Why don't they just pull themselves up by their bootstraps? Why don't they just get over being depressed? And when they say things like that, they forget they had a few advantages going for them from birth: a safe home, proper nutrition, education, some lucky breaks. I like baseball, and as a wise man once said, don't make the mistake of thinking you hit a triple when you were born on third base. We're not so different from those Israelites in the wilderness who made an idol out of golden calves. We create idols: our jobs, our status, our money, our talents, or our own good mental health, because we've not had to face some of the crippling blows other people have. We sacrifice to our idols and then give our idols credit for where we are in life instead of thanking God. That is why the gospel of Christ is as powerful today as it was 2,000 years ago. No matter how lost you feel, no matter how unworthy you think you are, no matter how much of an outsider, no matter what other people think of you, you are important. There are a lot of disposable products in this world: disposable diapers, lighters, razor blades, spoons, plates, cups, cameras, batteries, even disposable drones. Those are the ones that fly into hurricanes. They know they're on a one-way mission, those poor little drones. But you know what Jesus says there aren't? There aren't any disposable people. To leave an entire flock to fend for itself in order to search for just one would seem to be reckless and irresponsible, although what Jesus suggests may be bad economics. It's faithful shepherding. You notice Jesus never refused to eat with someone, never withdrew from someone, although sometimes they withdrew from him. The shepherd goes after the lost sheep, not only to save her, but more importantly, to save the other 99. The other 99 cannot achieve wholeness apart from the last one, the 100th. The kingdom and God's realm are all incomplete until you, me, all of the lost are found. And by our words and our actions and our love, we can bring the kingdom here. We can cause it to break out into this old world of ours. We can take this world from seeing disposable people to seeing every child, every woman, every man as indispensable. We may not be angels, but we wield tremendous power in what we turn our attention to day to day, and heaven resounds with a joyful response. And once we do that, the only question for us is this: are we willing to join the celebration? Are we willing to put on our party hats? No matter how lost you may feel this morning, God says you're important. You matter. God is searching for you and is going to show you the way back to a full and rich life. Because in God's kingdom, angels break out the party hats anytime someone who's lost is found, or when the broken are healed, when the alienated are reconciled, when the stranger and the immigrant are welcomed, when the sick are made well, when those who are dead are made alive, when the oppressed are lifted up, when the prisoner is released, when the humble have been exalted, when everyone gets to join the celebration. Amen.